Coralville Planning and Zoning Commission. Can I get a roll call, please?
Snyder. Here. Wen.
Here.
Taylor. Here. Wenman.
Here.
Aaron's. Fessler.
Here.
And Wilson. Here.
We'll consider approval of tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Fessler,
Second.
second by Snyder. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We'll consider approval of July 5th, 2018 minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Snyder,
Second.
second by Wynn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And next item is a public hearing request by the City of Coralville and Watts Group Development, Inc. for the approval of a land use amendment from parks to medium density residential for Golf Terrace. Does anyone wish to speak to the commission on this? And it looks like we have a fair number of people to speak on this. Our preference would be if you could just nominate a spokesperson to summarize everybody's. And you're all welcome to speak, but limit your comments to 5 minutes per person. And there's no need to repeat if something's been mentioned earlier. So now would be the time to address the commissioner. If there's anyone here to speak on this item.
Did you all get a copy of the petition?
We
And
did.
you've had a chance to read it?
We have.
Okay. I think we've been kind of
Your
through
name, sir? I'm
this.
sorry.
I'm sorry?
Your name?
Gene Gessner. I live at 1830 Country Club Drive. We've kind of been through this once before, back 6-9 months ago. I guess by way of, if there's a silver lining to this whole thing, it's the fact that there's been much more conversation amongst neighbors in the neighborhood now since this has come up. It used to be just wave while they're mowing, now everybody's talking. Two important points. First, I think it's almost universal in the opposition to converting parkland to medium density. And in addition to that, I think any development should stand on its own. This development, since its inception, has been tied with the essentially donating of Coralville parkland to the developer to make the adjoining land, which they are proposing to purchase, more viable. That land is, by comparison to other neighboring properties, extremely overpriced. And that's why it hasn't been developed thus far. If you simply can't pass $2 million along, if that is in fact the price, that was the asking price. Divide that into 10 units and pass that along to somebody who's going to buy it. It just doesn't work. I think that's the thing.
Thank you, Mr. Ress. Anyone else wish to address the commission?
My name's Donald Whalen.
Could you step to the,
You'll have to go to the mic.
Can't
Step to the
stand
point.
up, I just had spinal fusion, I'll try here.
we'll give you plenty of time, sir.
Okay.
You can take the mic
No
off.
time.
You can take them.
You can take the
Take the
mic.
mic to it.
No,
You can take the mic off the stand.
I'm up now. I do.
And if you would please sign in there, anyone who speaks, please sign in at the podium on the pad there, please.
I'm just becoming familiar with what's going on. The zoning, I'm not really for sure what this zoning amounts to, what its limitations are, et cetera. Where do I find that information out?
2 points. One is we're not looking at a rezoning at all at this point. We're only looking at a land use amendment.
Okay,
So the zoning will come later. If this proceeds, the zoning will come later. At this point in time, all we're doing is looking to change the use of this land from one use to another use.
Okay.
Zoning isn't in the picture at this point.
okay. And the land we're talking about is that the wooded area east of Country Club Drive?
It's a wooded area east of it's up on the map right there.
have
It's the brown area on the
different
map.
drawing up here now.
So
Oh,
it's,
thank you.
it's along First Avenue, and it is east of Country Club Drive and east of the land that Mr. Poots owns.
Okay. Well, that's all I have for right now.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I want to make that clear to everybody. We're not talking about zoning tonight. This is a land use amendment only.
Over here, hon. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you. David, any further questions? Can I stop by and talk to you then?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you, folks.
I'm taking a slightly different perspective. I'm speaking for everyone in the community who takes walks along Oakdale Boulevard, up First Avenue, counts butterflies, checks out the wildflowers. And I would like to let you know what a wonderful job I think that you and other members of the city of Coralville have done to create such a really beautiful place. I hope that you will honor the continuation of that beauty by maintaining the park or the current zoning.
And what was your name, ma'am? I'm sorry.
Oh, Pat Bronger, 1750 Country
Thank you.
Club Drive.
My name is Barb Grilly, and I would like a clarification because the document says with the land use amendment from parks to medium density. Is not medium density a zoning?
No, ma'am. Medium density is a category of land use. What we're working on in the Hall of Coralville, in which we have just redone in the last few years, is our community land use map, where we take areas of the community and we decide what we think the best and most, well, the best idea for the land use in that area. So medium density is just, there's different densities of residential land use. There's low density, which is up to 6 dwelling units an acre, medium density, which is up to 16 units per acre, and high density, which is 16 units per acre and above. So that's the density that the land can be developed at. So this land at medium density, which is what lots 11, 12, 13, and 14 are medium density, where you live across the street from that, that is all medium density. What that means to that land is that can be developed up to 16 dwelling units per acre. And that's what we're proposing, or what the developer and owner is proposing for this land to be, is medium density, up to 16 units per acre.
What is R3? I thought I read.
That's a zoning classification.
That's
tells you
different than the
what kind
land use.
of development you can have on that land, not the density. We're talking about density of development here, and zoning is telling you what the use of the land can be.
Okay, I understand the difference. Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome. And that we're not looking at zoning tonight. That will come later if this continues.
And that would also be another opportunity for public hearing, would it not?
Any rezoning is a public hearing before P&Z and council. No, if you look at the sign that was posted out there, it says it's a land use amendment act tonight. And that's what I believe the letters were sent out said the same thing. It's not a zoning.
Does anyone else wish to speak on this tonight?
Good evening. My name is Terry Pass. I live at 1820 Country Club Drive and have lived there for 24 years. Pat and I are the only two original owners, I believe. My question for you is, tell me in how many other instances have you changed park land to some other land use in the last 3 years?
can't
Your
answer that.
silence is deafening.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Jim is,
Well, and you're right, I can't answer that right off the top of my head. I know there have been several land use changes. I can't tell you that without looking at it. We're working with a big area here, so in order to keep everything in your head of what we've done is pretty impossible.
Please research that and tell us
Sure.
how many times you've changed parkland to some other land use category.
Well, I'm Kim Swanson, 1800 Country Club Drive. I have a question, too. I just heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that the quarry people, like Loretta Angerer and her late husband, that they actually, did they donate that land to the city years ago? No? Oh, okay. I heard that they had, but maybe that's not true. Okay, all right, thank you.
anyone else wish to speak?
Yeah, Gene Gessner again. 2 points of clarification. First one, it was said that the owner and the developer, the owner of this property, correct me if I'm wrong, currently is the city of Coralville, correct?
That's right.
Okay. And the second part is yes, it's change in the use or development, but that's step one before rezoning, before developing, correct?
In this case, it is.
So, I mean, it's a difference in nomenclature, but the end result is the same, correct?
Well, the end result is the same.
Change in the use, go to rezoning, give it to
That-
Watts, they develop it. That's,
That's the procedure we have to go through, yes.
right. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
But regardless of the outcome of this land use amendment, doesn't necessarily mean this will go forward. They would still have to come back with additional steps.
Do they have to come back to planning and zoning?
Yes. And council.
Right.
And all we do is make a recommendation to the city council. It's not, our decision here is not binding upon the council.
Right. But they too take the weight of what you decide, don't they?
Well, that's up for them to determine,
Yeah.
but hopefully they do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Renee Cameron. I live at 1524 First Avenue, a little bit further down the street, and I just moved here from Minneapolis about 8 months ago. And I'm just disappointed. I mean, one of the reasons that we moved here is just such a beautiful area, and you folks have done such a wonderful job with your trails and your parks. And we really need a park up there. We have children, people that like to walk and enjoy the nature and all the wonderful things you've done, and that will just be taken away. It'll just change the whole character of the neighborhood. And I find that very disappointing, especially, I just think this area is so enlightened by parks and neighborhoods and things like that, and so, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cameron. Anyone else before we close the public hearing?
I do have one other question.
Sure.
Do I need to work my-
No.
No.
Okay, the way I understand it then, there could possibly be 32 units over there in that area. Is that individual units,
31.
multi,
In order to, there could be more than probably, well,
you said 16 per acre?
it's 16 per acre, and there's 1.95 acres there, I think. So that would pretty much average out to 31 units, I think.
Correct.
On that land, yeah. Now, while it doesn't have to be one building, no, it could be individual units. But that would all depend on how you could fit them on that land as
Correct.
well.
Potentially one building, two buildings.
Potentially 1, 2 buildings, yes. It
Is
depends
there a
on.
limitation to, excuse me,
No, go ahead.
is there a limitation to level stories?
Amount of stories?
Yeah,
No.
okay.
Through traditional zoning, there may be,
Okay.
because of the height of the building, but it depends on what it's rezoned to as
Well, that
well.
helps clarify, thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. My name's Chuck Swanson. I live with my wife, Kim, at 1800 Country Club Drive, and we moved to the area in 2007, right before the flood. And so many of our Iowa Cityan friends said, oh, why are you moving to Coralville? And it was because of this area. And I just believe so strongly in what Coralville has done. I mean, there are certain areas that have been developed. I look at the Iowa River Landing, and that's perfect for that area. That is so wonderful. But then I look at the area where we all live, and it's not just this group of people, but you see people every day kind of coming down into that area. And a community really needs a little bit of everything. And I really feel very strongly about our friend here who just moved from Minneapolis. You know, it's important to think about that because Coralville is a special place, but it's a special place because of all these different things that it has to offer. And when I talk to friends, you know, I try to explain where I live, and I say, I live in that real beautiful park-like area of Coralville, and right away they know what that area is. And so I just encourage you all to think about that because, you know, the future is the young people, and the young people really need more than just places to go eat and places to go shop, but they also need places where they can come in and really enjoy the outdoors and really enjoy being with family and being with friends. So thank you for everything you do, and I really do hope you think about the future of that area. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Swanson. Anyone else? Okay, we've also received a number of letters which we've all had time to review, and that will be included as part of the public hearing. Okay, with that, we will close the public hearing and consider approval of the land use amendment. Moved by Taylor.
Second.
Second by Wilson. Okay, discussion. Jim, is there anything else you need to show us on here?
I don't think there's anything else that really needs to be discussed. The point was made that, you know, the city is the owner of the land, that's true. The city is on there as whenever you do something and you're holding a public hearing on it or doing something like this, you not only have to list the person that wants to develop it or the potential buyer, but you have to list the owner of the land as well. So that's why the city is on here, because the city does own this piece of ground. As far as the density goes, yes, it's medium density. Excuse me, that whole area there is medium density. The only thing that's high density is the old apartments, the Lakewood Hills apartments that sit back down in there. Those are high density. This is medium density, which is compatible with all the surrounding land use that we have there. As far as the green space goes, there's green space, quite a bit of green space in this neighborhood. All the parks are within a distance of this area that is recognized by the National Park Association as a distance from, you know, from different areas to a parkland. It borders a green area. They got a whole golf course behind them.
In
So that's
the
all
golf
green as
course,
well.
it's considered parkland and land use, isn't it?
Golf course is considered green space and parkland as well.
Which is why this particular plot is, because it was a part of the original golf course, is that right?
Yeah, I might add, the land use on this is actually parkland green space, pretty much. And that's what the city and our consultants looked at this piece of ground and recognized that this could possibly be used as a parkland. It could be green space, it could be a parkland. But like I say, land uses are just are a suggestion on how your city should develop and for long-term planning. And so as areas develop, maybe that long-term planning isn't going to be the highest and best use of this. So we have changed our land use plan in several instances. I can't tell you how many we've changed to parkland. I can't tell you how many we've changed in different uses either, because we've made several changes on it. And they all come before the P&Z and the council. So changing a land use is not an unusual situation in the city of Coralville. But other than, you know, and it can be developed medium density, which is 16 dwelling units per acre. Doesn't have to be, because you've got to fit them on there as well.
And again, that's consistent with what's across the street, and the rest of the neighborhood is all already medium density, is that?
That whole neighborhood is medium density, yeah. It was all medium density when it was developed.
Thank you. Any further discussion from the commission?
Well, I think I'm going to put in my 2 cents. It's a park, and our land use plan, we spent a lot of time on it. And I think, you know, if we've changed land use from, you know, multifamily to, you know, residential to multifamily, just different levels of residential. We, as far as I know, have never changed a park to a residential area. And I think we should leave it a park. I think we put a lot of time in the land use, and I want to keep it that way.
I think we set a dangerous precedent when we start doing things like this. There's a lot of green space that could be turned into parkland in the north part of Coralville. And I think if we start doing things like this, we're going to start getting more and more requests for this type of thing. And I think at this point in time, I understand what you're saying about NPRA saying that we have enough parks in Coralville, but this was designated as parkland. It was donated to the city as such. So I understand that the land that exists there is medium density residential on the west side, and we're not going to do anything about that. That's what we're going to have to stay with. But I will vote against changing the use on the parks, on the parkland.
Okay, any further discussion? Now we'll move to a vote. Can we get a roll call, please?
Snyder.
No.
Wen.
No.
Taylor.
Yay.
Yes.
Wenman.
Yes.
Fessler. No. Wilson.
No. Mine was a no, just so
Oh,
you know.
I'm sorry.
Pardon?
Mine was a no.
Oh, I thought, okay.
I said nay.
Okay, I'm
I
sorry.
didn't mean yay.
Okay, so the
Confusing, Laura.
motion fails 5-1.
5-1.
This will be on the council agenda on the 28th.
Not on the 14th, the 28th.
No, it's a public hearing, ma'am, so we have to have room to publish another public hearing, time to do that. So public hearings always go to the second meeting of the month. I think that's at 28th, the last Tuesday. Our meetings are the second last Tuesday of every month, so I think the last Tuesday is 28th. It's a public hearing as well.
You folks are welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting. If you choose to leave, please do so quietly so we can continue with our meeting, if you would please. Thank you.
How long did you have your surgery? How long ago? I'm doing pretty good, thanks.
I see it.
Good to see you.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, item 6 is a public hearing request by the State of Iowa Board of Regents and build a suit for the approval and rezoning from I-1 to IPD2 and IPDB site plan of Lot 11 Oakdale Research Park. Does anyone wish to speak to the commission on this? No. Okay, we will close the public hearing and we'll consider approval of the rezoning.
So moved.
Moved by Snyder,
Second.
second by Fessler. Jim?
Lot 11 Research Park is, if you're familiar with the Leapfrog, the new Leapfrog building out on Oakdale Boulevard, which is that building right there. That building has several offices in it, and as most of our offices buildings that get built, it's overgrown. You know, the use and the amount of people that work there are growing. So what they have done is they've created another piece of ground, an autos parcel just north of that, right there in that area, and they want to combine that land with the existing lot, number 11, and they want to put another building out there. So in order to make one lot out of that and put two buildings on it, then they have to go from the I zoning to an IPUD zoning. That's the reason for the rezoning, to get both buildings on that lot.
Okay, any questions or discussion on the rezoning? Yeah. All in favor of the rezoning, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries all ayes. Now we'll consider approval of the IPDB site plan.
So moved.
Moved by Fessler,
Second.
second by Wynn.
Okay, that's exactly what we just talked about. That's the existing building that's down, and then the new building and the parking for the new building on the upper portion of this site plan. So what they're having to do is they've added on, so they have to expand their parking, and then they're putting the new building on the northern part of this, so.
Will the only access to this new proposed building be through the parking lot of the existing building?
Yes, that's true. They have the only access now off Oakdale Boulevard that they'll have, and that's the only point they could get an access from. So there will be cross-access easements and through this lot, as well as there'll be shared parking. I mean, the park, it's all going to be, function as one lot.
And there is a substantial ravine to the east and north of that property that kind of prohibits connecting over to University Parkway.
So will there have to be a developer's agreement then between the two buildings to discuss that shared access?
Well, there'll be a developer's agreement.
Okay.
It always is, that will address any situation like that, yes.
Okay. Any further questions or discussions on the site plan? Now we'll vote. All in favor of the approval of the site plan, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries all ayes. Anything for next month, Jim? we need?
We have five submittals. We were given 5 submittals for next month. We're gonna visit 4 of them. So yes, we do have things for next month. They just came in today. Haven't really opened them up and looked at them yet. That'll be 5 of them.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.